Jim Gavin is with me, the former Dublin manager, of course, and chairperson of the GAA's Football Review Committee. He has kindly handed me a copy of their interim report, wherein we will find explained all of the new rules that are going to be trialled this weekend in the Not Railway Cup. So, Jim, before we talk about the rules, actually, what were the issues that you were seeking to address in the game?
So maybe to lead it out, the when Gerald Burns became Tuachtaran Cumhaireachta Casquale, the president of the GAA, the association already had written a strategic plan 2026 about amalgamation of camogie, hurling, ladies football and Gaelic football. And part of that vision of the association was that Gaelic games would become the best amateur games globally to play and to watch. Very audacious statement by the association, but nonetheless, that was kind of the guiding principle, the North Star for the committee. So with that background, Jared set up a committee. He asked me to chair it, and our kind of terms of reference were to really, in summary, to establish a new blueprint for Gaelic football, and to identify potential rule changes that would, I suppose, enhance the current game and would get the balance between the tradition of Gaelic football as it was played, and probably as when I grew up and I played it, and balance it against the modern innovation. So we were asked to consult widely. We were asked to look at the rule book and see what rules were being enforced and rules weren't. There was obviously multiple stakeholders within the association. We were asked to put out a survey, which we did, an online survey. We got 7,000 responses. We got over 5,000 kind of qualitative pieces of text and letters and emails, and they were all analysed by Dr. Michael McKay up in Ulster University. And from that then, the output of that was the survey would say that the top 5 things people like to see in Gaelic football are kick passing, long-range scores, high fielding, goal scoring, and one-to-one creativity by players. Things they don't like to see are dissent to referees and that kind of. So when you see the rule, I'm sure we'll go through them. When you look at the rule enhancements, because this really is an evolution. The games have always evolved from, January 1885 when David set the first set of Gaelic football rules all the way through. They have evolved over the decades, and this football rule committees, they come around every 10 years. So Eugene McGee, God rest him, was the previous chair of that. 2012, 2013, and their most seminal work would have been the introduction of the Category 2 offence, or in lay person's terms, the black card, the sin bin.
Philly McMahon actually earlier brought up kind of unintended consequences, his interpretation of the introduction of the black card when expressing some reservations about these rules. We might come back to that in a moment. So what are the enhancements for people who are going to watch the games this weekend?
Okay, so when people watch the games, what we hope is that they'll watch the game and they go, well, I don't see anything new there. That looks like just a good game of Gaelic football, fast-flowing, kick passing. Yes, teams can set themselves up defensively, in a kind of compact structure. We're allowing that goalkeepers can still assist the attack. What they will notice tangibly is that there's a dashed line in midfield and that there's a 40-metre arc which sweeps from 40 metres out from the goal back to the 20-metre line. So that's what they'll see visually. What's subtly in the game is that we've taken away the back pass to the goalkeeper. So in essence, the ball has to be played forward, and this really speaks, Kieran, to the traditional of Gaelic football, where like we look back in tapes from the 40s that were available all the way through to recent times. And the ball was kicked out by Charlie Elegant, for example, with Kerry in the 70s, and was caught by Jack O'Shea in midfield. And then Jack turned around and just put a long ball into the full forward line to Bomber Liston, who played to Mikey Sheehy and went over the bar. So that's a kind of game where the ball is played vertically up the pitch. It's really a game of territory, rather than the possession type game that we see in the modern game. That can be okay, and we're in some ways are agnostic about you hear about teams being too defensive. Well, defense is part of every team's game. For every attack you have to defend. What I suppose irritate people is the passive nature of some games where a team will retreat into their own half, and the play is laborious bringing up. Or if a team decide to press up on the opposition, the outlet can be the goalkeeper, and it in some ways becomes I suppose a piggy in the middle.
And how then, though, because you said the goalkeeper can still assist with the attack. I mean, in what way then can the goalkeeper assist if you can't pass it back to him?
So the goalkeeper can still get the ball if he's in the opposition half of the field.
Okay.
And again, that speaks to the modern innovations where you've got a goalkeeper who wants to who could play outfield with his club and wants to assist the attack, and we've seen some great scores from that. So that's one of the I suppose the enhancements. The second one is where we have 3 players need to stay in each half of the field. Again, this speaks to a tradition. So. And if you look at a probably under 16 game anywhere on the island of Ireland at Gaelic football, you'll probably see a structure like this where there's probably at least 3 forwards in their half of the field. So what this does, it promotes the ball to be kicked because now you have 3 players up the pitch. In terms of the team defending, it leaves them with 11 outfield players. So if you have 14 outfield players, obviously a goalkeeper, now if you keep 3 in the opposition half of the field, you only have 11 players to defend in your half the field, which leaves a bit more space. And then the attacking team have 11 outfield players to attack. But again, as I mentioned, the goalkeeper can still support the play. So what we've seen in the games, and the reason we call them sandbox games is just there was really an opportunity to test things out and to make lots of mistakes and to try and evolve and develop these rule enhancements. We also now mentioned the ARC, and the ARC is there to promote long range scores. That's one of the 5 things people want to see. And we can some ways would say it's kind of an out of the seat moment that when we see a long range scores, people really enjoy it. I was up in Clones for the Ulster final this year, and some fantastic. What we might know in the future is our 2-point scores.
Yeah.
So that's what you get when you just kick a ball from 40 metres outside the arc. Inside the arc or inside the 20-metre line is a 1 point. And again, to promote goal scoring, which people want to see, you get 4 points. So that has worked really well. And in the recent games where the provincial squads were training over the weekend or during the week, there's been lots of goals. That's what's been reported coming back. There's an advance mark. So the current advance mark is gone. Nobody liked it.
No.
So what we're again trying to promote is long range kick passing and high fielding. So if the ball is caught inside the 20-metre line and the ball is kicked outside the 45-metre line, you can call a mark. The addition, because we've been asked specifically in our terms of reference, we were asked to create that the game would be entertaining for players and spectators and to create memorable moments.
Yeah.
That's a quote from the terms of reference. So, if the player catches the ball inside the 20-metre arc, he can still continue on, try and go for a goal, and if the advantage isn't accrued, he can come back and get the free. So I speak to David Clifford in this one, his high field in 2022 All-Ireland final. For those who might recall that game, the phenomenal ball kicked in from the Hogan stand side, about 65 metres out, one of the Kerry players. David caught it inside the 20-metre line and stopped. And everyone went, oh. So in this instance, if this rule does come in, and it'll be in for Friday, if he caught the ball, he can turn, he could pass it to Shawnee O'Shea. Shawnee could take a shot. If the goalkeeper saves it, then the ball is brought back.
You can go back for your mark.
Yeah.
Because I guess the danger is now that inter-county managers would get these rules and they try and work out how to hack them, essentially. You know what I mean? And part of the reason that you don't have, Charlie Nelligan playing the ball to Jack O'Shea, who then turns it in and lumps it down on top of Bomber Liston, is because possession is king, and there's nothing this team can do if they don't have the ball effectively. You know what I mean? That's one of the kind of the rationales for keeping it. Even see it in hurling, it's kind of brilliant. There's a keep that ball. The other team will not score if they don't have it. I mean, how will this encourage the team to do that? How will this encourage the modern Jack O'Shea to lump it in on the modern Bomber List and David Clifford or someone else?
First, I'd say is that I would disagree with you there, Kieran. Coaches don't hack rules. The rule book is the rule book, and coaches then use those rules to their advantage. Be it any sport, be it in soccer, in basketball, in American football, there's a set of rules, set of laws of the game, and you play the game within the laws of the game. And if you don't, you're penalised.
Yeah.
So, and again, go back to that point where teams are too defensive. Well, that's just particular. If you want to have a compressed defence and then counter-attack style, as we did under Jack Charlton, was that type of game, and put them under pressure. Well, that's a particular style of football that some people didn't agree with at the time. Likewise, some people don't like some of the tactics employed by teams, but that's within their gift to do that. So to reward the Jack O'Shea kicking the ball into the bomber listing
Yeah.
scenario you gave me, that's why to reward that risk is that if Jack O'Shea kicks the ball from the midfield into bomber listing,
Yeah.
to reward the risk if bomber catches it, he can take on Sean O'Doherty and pass the ball to Mikey Sheehy or to John Egan, and the ball is in the back of the net. If Paddy Cullen saves the ball, it's brought back for
So
a
it's the
free
risk
kick.
reward thing, and that you've kind of upped the reward factor a little bit. That's the idea.
You do, yeah. You're trying to
Yeah.
encourage it. I think it will naturally evolve, and what we've seen is when the back pass to the goalkeeper isn't on, that teams will automatically straighten up, come down the pitch,
Yeah.
and they'll move the ball forward because they can see the advantage of if there's only 3 players up the pitch, you can kick it into your half back line and kick it on again. So I believe what we're going to see is a very fast, open, entertaining game on Friday and Saturday. Lots of goals, lots of point taking, and it's going to be entertaining.
So, do you suspect some of the rules might be harder to stomach for teams than others? You know, have you looked at them and thought, you know, I'd imagine this one will be kind of fairly agreeable across the board. I can see certain teams having an issue with this rule more than others.
Well, there hasn't been one rule. I suppose in the players, you sit down and you talk about them, you show them in diagrams, the briefings that we've given all the intercounty squads, or the interprovincial squad, should I say, the teams that are involved, club players, intercounty players in our sandbox games. What we saw was, kind of conceptually, some of them can be difficult, and we're like, you've got a big document there, and you're trying to visualize them in your mind's eye to say, okay, what would this look like? It's really when you or Philly now will see it on Friday, go, oh, now we get it, because it looks. I don't want to bias people, but it looks like a natural flowing game of Gaelic football. Like, for example, the solo and go. So if you found me, Kieran, I can take a solo and go immediately and play on. So that really speeds the game up. So the feedback that we've got from players is that they really enjoy. But that's what I'm hearing. Let them speak for themselves. I've spoken to each and every one of the intercounty managers. We had lots of meetings with them. I've had one-to-ones with them, and yes, they have perspectives on particular rules, but they all agree that the rules need to evolve, and they're excited. They're excited for the National League.
And I don't expect you to betray any confidences in terms of those meetings, but have you got any feedback, or in terms of the questions maybe different intercounty managers have asked? Have any of them surprised you that maybe they looked at these rules in a way that you hadn't thought of?
They have, yeah. So there's things that were. I would say most things that were brought up we had discussed, like when you have the likes of a James Horan, Eamon Fitzmaurice, Colin Collins, Malik O'Rourke, Michael Murphy on the committee, and Michael Meany, Patrick O'Doherty, Shane Flanagan, the head director of games development in Croke Park, Alec McQuillan from Antrim. Like there's a lot of people who've been around the game for so many years. Lots of committees, as we say. So most things that have been brought up, we had discussed. For example, a backcourt rule that kind of came up. So once you cross the halfway line, you can't go.
The basketball thing,
limiting the hand passing, limiting the soloing. Having even a shot clock like they have in basketball. So all these innovations were, we did discuss them, and we're very conscious of one, I think, practical, and I suppose we'd love to have a shot clock in there. We've got 60 seconds to take a shot, but that's not practical. So we've looked at the rules. We've tried to understand what the potential unintended consequences might be, and until we really stress test them, we're not going to see. And that's why these rules, we briefed our Corda, the Central Council of the GA, last night in Croke Park. They then need to vote on them on the 26th. They then go forward. That's the governing body of the association. They go forward to the ruling, to the body that can make rule changes, Congress, on the 30th of November, and then they'll be passed for temporary rules in 2025. We look at them in the Championship. We look at them in the National League. We look at them at club level. We come through the summer of next year, and the committee will sit again, produce another tomb that you have there, Kieran, our final report with recommendations for permanent rule changes for 2026. We're not even out of the dressing room yet. We're still preparing the game plan.
Yeah, no, listen, and I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I'm sure lots of people are. What's been the feedback or the response from referees, or what sort of supports have kind of been offered to them in terms of implementing the new rules?
First thing I said, they've been brilliant. So we met them before the championship, gave us some really honest and candid feedback. We took that on board. We had a meeting with them on Tuesday night of this week. Those referees involved and match officials involved for the weekend. Both the club referees and intercounty referees involved in those 7 sandbox games. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but it kind of surprised us how quickly they got them. It flows.
What were your preconceptions about those referees, Jim? Now that they surprised you, how quickly they got it?
Yeah, well, everybody has said to us that when they, and you probably saying that, like, there's a lot in here. Like, we've 50 motions.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about the dissent. I haven't talked yet about handing the ball back to the player if you're fouled.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about the delay tactics where if I purposely hold you up the ball, we move 50 meters. There's a lot of rules for them to manage, but they obviously know the game a lot better than I do. They know the rule book a lot better than I do, and it's been seamless. And I think that's what you'll see over the weekend.
Well, listen, like I say, we didn't even get through all the rules, but I know you're going to be chatting to John Duggan and Off the Ball as well over the next few days.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that. I look forward to watching these play out in this interprovincial series, not the Railway Cup. Jim, listen, it's been a pleasure, and thanks a million for coming into us. Jim is chairperson of the Football Review Committee, former Dublin manager as well. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.